Welcome to this week's episode of the Overflow Podcast. So happy that you listeners are here with us today. As always, I'm Joaquin.
And I'm Jay.
And we just say it all the time. This is the Overflow Podcast at theoverflowpodcast.com. Just weeks away from
Crema time.
From Crema time. It's almost there, right? I had a great fun episode last week with our amigo Paramus out of Canada. So shout out to all the Mounties.
Shout out to the Canadians. Also, shout out to a new listener, Brian, who actually tagged me on an image of him listening to the podcast, saying it was a great episode, the one with Promise. So
nice. Well, thank you, Brian. Hopefully you're listening to this episode.
Boricua's on the set, baby.
Yeah, baby. Oh, he's Boricua?
Yeah, he's Boricua.
Oh, I'm not going to say what I thought he was.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either. I just, you know me. I just kind of say stuff. I thought he was Asian. I'll be honest. I'll just say it. I thought he was Asian. Then I knew he was Boricua because I saw the Puerto Rican flag. And I was like, oh, he's Boricua. But I had to set up, right? So I can make my joke. Anyway, it has been a crazy week, right? It's been cold.
Word.
It has been rainy here in Atlanta, which sucks.
So much.
Right? It's like, man, when will it ever I mean, it's just been like, I don't mind if it's cold. I don't mind if it's rainy, but when it's the combination of those two, I just never want to get out of bed.
Dude, tell me about it. I
Right?
agree 100%.
You know, when the differdifference in temperature.
And that's not 200.
Not 200.
That's not 200. That's 100 and 100%. Because
Well, you know, it's like when the temperature difference between here and New York is like anywhere between 2 to 3 degrees.
like 1 degree.
You know, I think I looked today and it was like 30, 33 here and like, or 34 here and 30, 33 there. I mean, it's like, come on. Well, this is Georgia. It's supposed to be 70 right now because the weather is so, crazy. All I know is that I looked for the last 10 days.
Yeah.
And temperature's going up this week, the 50s.
To the 50s.
In the 50s.
All right.
But in Puerto Rico, it's been like 81, 82.
Yeah, you're leaving, right?
And that's where I'm headed, baby. I'm headed there in a week and a half. I'm going to begin on an airplane in the night sky. And then, actually, that's not true. It'll be daytime. And it'll be a Frontier 6, not a G6, but a Frontier 6.
Oh.
Which means I got to bring my own bag of peanuts.
I was going to say, he's going to get charged for everything.
Like, I had to, I paid for my bags.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm looking, right? So I'm looking. It's the same price to bring in a carry-on as it is to throw a bag under the plane.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Well, that's interesting.
Right? The difference is, right? So the difference is the size of the bag. You know?
Right.
So I'm like, well, if I'm gonna, because I was thinking, I just, they'll carry on, a little cheaper. I'll just put like, 3 underwears, 3 of everything, right? And I can just wash and keep it moving. But then when I'm looking at the price, I'm like, $38 for a small bag, like that small bag you guys gave me. Or I can just get my bigger suitcase. I'm still paying the same amount of price. And that way I have room to like stuff in, to bring it back.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it was the same price.
Basically the same price. Yeah, especially if you buy it ahead of time.
Ahead of time, yeah.
Right? If you try to do the same day, the same day it's much more. But I'm like, man,
anytime I take Frontier,
that's why
I always just take a backpack.
Well, right. Well, see,
because normally I take Frontier like if I go to New York,
right,
or like Miami, or Florida, or whatever. So I'll just take a backpack.
Well, then that's the thing too, right? Because then it's like when you look, and then they're like, oh, well, they'll charge for a backpack, but it's got to be X size, and I'm just like, really?
Yeah, I didn't charge you for my backpack. I just little backpack, threw it under the seat in front of me, and I was good.
Yeah, well, that's the thing that's got feeling because like, I have the big backpack,
Right.
but I'm afraid that they'll charge me for that. They'll try to be like, "Oh no, sir, that's," and I'll be like, "No, it fits. Look." So today I pulled out my smaller backpack so I could kind of load it up and carry it and make sure I got I don't carry much stuff on the plane like my tablet and my chargers and stuff, but still, it's a headache. Flying is not as fun as it used to be. I used to love it.
And not as cheap.
Not as cheap. Yeah, right. And then it's like Frontier, so they don't give you nothing. Do they give you anything on longer flights, I wonder?
They don't give you nothing.
So it's like great. So now not only do I gotta buy stuff, not only do I gotta have a smaller backpack, which is fine, but I gotta buy a drink, right? But I can't take a drink in. So I gotta buy, I gotta pay $1 million, for a 20-ounce, Diet Mountain Dew.
Yeah, just buy a drink in there.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like buying drinks once you get past security, they just jack up the prices because they got you.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's what I'm saying. It's like I pay $1 million for the Diet Mountain Dew and $1 million for a bag of peanuts so I can snack on a 4-hour flight. Great. I'm gonna land grumpy.
You haven't even left yet. You're already grumpy.
My goodness. I'm about to tell Pops like, yo, when you come pick me up, have a tripleta with you. Because I'm going to be hungry. I'm
I'll be hungry and pissed.
I'm going to be angry. Hangry, as some people like to say.
As the kids.
I don't think the kids say that.
The kids do say that.
I don't think that's a kid's thing. I think that's a lower middle age thing. Anyway. I don't know what that means. But, yeah, man. So all that stuff has been going on. So that's all. I'm trying to lose. Oh, and I'm trying to lose. I got 6 pounds to go before I hit 230.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to lose 6 pounds in 8 days.
Dale, you can do it.
I'm going to try. I don't know if I'm going to make it.
You can do it.
I'm going to try. I'm going to get... Then I'm not going to be hangry. I'm just going to be super angry. Because I got to exercise or reduce calories. It's going to be a mess. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. You might... And then my goal is to come back from Puerto Rico weighing a pound less. Not a pound more, but a pound less. See if I can do that. But that's been all that's been going on in my head for like the last few days. What about you, man? What you been up
to? Absolutely nothing. Actually, no. I've been it's so funny. It's gonna sound funny, but it's not on purpose. Working on building a legacy.
Mwah, mwah, mwah.
Nah, so I just been, just working on the business, working on legacy management.
Right.
The website's finally done. Added, I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but now under legacy management, yeah, I think we did mention this last week. Like Junior is there as a producer and a musician, but official tissue. He's like Jackie Velasquez's Christmas tour drummer.
Right.
So he's doing that. Score 1 for Legacy. It's like the best thing. We went official, and then that happened. Uzu dropped another track that has finally caught the attention of Spotify, like an actual Spotify curated list, playlist, nice. Right? Just that, and building the calendar year for 2019 as far as the artists and speakers that are signed under Legacy. Pretty soon, brand new artist will be dropping her first single. Some surprises for next year. Trying to build out What Up RG's headlining tour. You heard it here first. His first
for those of you that are listening, yes.
Right, his first headline tour. So it's been a busy couple days.
Okay.
Right, but I'm hoping and praying that as far as legacy management and legacy nights, as far starting next year, will be enough to take that full time. Oh, you were talking about, that's my thing about my fear, right? Doing things that I've been afraid to do, right? Because of my fear of failure. I'm taking it back.
My thing is, I was afraid of doing things. So my thing was about how I'm afraid of doing things. That's what I was talking about.
No, because you asked me about like what was that about? I didn't remember what you were talking about. I remember now.
I even showed you. I even said this.
No, that was different. That wasn't the rebel leader thing.
Right, but that's what.
That's where I said that in.
Yeah, that's what.
I thought I said that in the other picture. But anyway,
that's what prompted me to
so
ask
like
the
I've
question.
been, there are a lot of things that I've been wanting to do, but my fear of failure because of things that I've tried,
right? Because you're a failure.
out of the will of God,
right,
and out of the way He wanted them done,
correct,
right? They've of course blown it in my face because they've been out of God's will.
Correct.
So because of that,
yes,
I've been afraid of doing anything else. So I'm done. I'm done with the fear, and we're going full on ahead. So there are certain things that I've been.
So what are some things we can look forward to that are? I mean, the things you can't talk about. I know
things that I can't talk
there's
about.
a few things you can't. Obviously, you can't mention those.
Right. So the things that I can't talk about
what
is
are we looking at as we jump into the new year?
We're gonna jump into.
You're jumping into the.
We're gonna finally do.
I'm gonna disappear.
A Legacy Nights, right?
Okay.
But a bigger thing, right?
Right.
Where it's gonna be like with invited speakers in a separate venue outside of my house. I, as of tonight, have confirmed Sam Ock to be like the invited worship guest of the night.
Okay.
Right, which should prove to be an amazing time of worship because
we like Sam Ock.
Yeah, we like Sam, man. You got to listen to his new project that he sent me this morning. It was a great thing to wake up to this morning. And a lot of other things that are happening. But right now, I can actually say that as far as DJ 412 and Friends, which is another event on the Legacy, we're gonna bring in Cass Kanda out from New Zealand. We're gonna bring her in here, have her first concert event in Atlanta.
All right. You have a venue picked out yet? Do you have an idea of a venue?
I've got a venue picked out. I've got a venue picked out. Actually, it's called S2. It's called S2. It's down in Atlanta. It's in Atlanta. I'm trying to keep everything centralized in Atlanta so that people from everywhere can just come in.
Right.
We'll do that with her and Aaron Cole, and then that'll be like the music portion of everything. But then we're gonna start doing Legacy Nights, at least for right now, since it's still in the beginning, at least
maybe every quarter?
3 to 4 times
a year.
Yeah, a year.
So every quarter.
Right. So that
what's that? A quarter is what? 3 months?
I believe so. Or if
no,
not,
4 months.
4 months.
Right.
4 months. So it'll be 3 times.
It'll
either be 3 or 4 times a year, right? Because of everything else that's going on. But it'll be on a bigger scale. So we're gonna have artists come in
3 or 4 months. I know now I'm stuck in my head. And I'm like, all right. So if you do it every 4 months, that's 3 for the year. If you do it every 3 months,
it'll be
that's
4 for the year. Right. So I said 3 or 4 times. All right. So we'll have.
No, we're gonna nail this down now.
We'll have artists come in, speakers, either myself, Joaquin, or someone else that
I'll be like, what's up, y'all?
That I'm waiting for him to.
I'll take my shirt off
to tell me yes.
Show my rock hard abs. Be like, any ladies looking for a husband? And then I'll never do it again. I'll get me too'd right out of Legacy Nights.
Right from the jump. Right. So
you can't kick me out the podcast though.
So we're trying to.
It's all me.
Trying to get some stuff done. Get some stuff done.
Right.
Right. And stop living in that fear because fear sucks.
Yeah, that's
fear will eat away at you.
Yeah. No, listen. That's funny. We're taking a turn here. We're gonna go with this because Marve hit me up this week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Marve's I'm friends with her and her husband and her kids. I met her when I used to go to Vineyard Community Church. She's like a mentor, a coach, a mom. Like she's just someone that's
she's amazing.
It's very her and her husband.
Her and her husband.
Both right. They're just Brad. Was a VP like a UPS. Started his own business. Like he's the one that told Jae. Well, I think he was the one, right? That one time he tells Jae, he's like, look, man, how much you charge? And he's like, don't ever charge less than what you're.
Dude,
what you're worth, right?
he shook me. was like, all right.
He got in his face.
He was like,
about
number
it.
one thing.
He punched him in the face.
What
I
did
was
you
like,
charge
"What?"
in New York? And I'm like, I would charge in New York. The cheapest I was going, $50 an hour. What do you charge here? Like 10, 15. It's like, why? Because people here don't have money like that. They do, but you're never gonna find them if you're still charging $10 an hour. I'm like, yo.
Yeah. So I mean,
So it's funny. Now I tell that to other people that come to me to ask
right,
for
right. Because
advice.
you know that's talking. You know, that's because that's fear, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's all. You know, that all that kind of plays. You know, as part of that. So it's funny because it's funny to talk about fear. As far as that we saw that because, like I said, Marve. You know, Marve hit me up this week. You know, we're just she'll hit me up every few months just to like hey, what's up, what's going on. And fear was one of the things we ended up talking about.
They were talking about with
no,
you?
Marve with me, yeah.
Okay,
Fear.
yeah.
No, Bradley was doing whatever Bradley does. I usually just talk to Marve. And so she was asking, what's up, and I was telling her, got the podcast going, and we got some things going, and this, that, and we look, got some, things, we've talked about to kind of. It feels like every year we've taken a good step forward, and next year really want to take a big step forward, right?
Right.
And the things we're doing, and I was like, and I'll talk a lot about it because it's been so huge in my life these last year and a half, just this whole weight loss thing, and seeing the picture of where I started, seeing where I'm at now. And then, as I talk to people that maybe don't see me all the time or hadn't seen me in a while when they don't recognize you. And, so there's that stuff going on. And, and then just what, it's what's today? Today is the 8th.
No, want to say yes.
Right? The 8th or the 9th? What's today's date? Today is the 9th.
So then no.
Right? So no, yesterday was the 8th. Today is the 9th. Tomorrow's the 10th. Right? So it means that we're at what? 3 weeks before the end of the year. Right? We're roughly at 3 weeks before the end of the year.
Yeah, just about.
And I don't know about you, but I've already begun thinking about next year. Right?
Yeah, that's what this whole thing
No,
is.
I'm saying personally, like right?
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
More personally. I didn't mean so much that, but like so I've been thinking a lot about next year. I've been thinking about next year about the podcast. What are we going to do? We need to finish the webinar. We need to step up our game, certain things. I think the podcast, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, how long will it last? I don't know if that's just my internal fear. Sometimes I think about, how will it fold into some of the different things that you're doing. How it can fold into those things. Be extension of that. But then personally, I've been thinking about, what are you gonna do next year? Like, what are some of the goals that I have for next year? I was thinking I'm gonna get down to 200 finally. Actually, that's a lie. I want to get down to 199.
That's specific.
So that I can say I broke 200.
You broke 200.
Right?
Yo.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to get down to 199, 198 so I can say, yo, I broke 200. And then get back to 200 because that's really kind of where I want to be, 210. And so, it's like, break 200. I'm going to, just do through whatever. I'm moving. And I'm going to leave this area for about a year. Try to recalibrate my life, kind of get some things together. But even in that, what does that mean for me for next year? What are some of the things I was thinking? I was just thinking the other day. I'd like to read more.
Then you should.
Then right, and that's a hard thing to do, right? Not because I can't read, but because I'm super distracted by all kinds of stuff, right? So so there's kind of those different those different things, but then there's even the things that I'm dealing with. We've talked about it. I have anger issues. I got self-esteem issues. I was telling her, I was telling Marve how you always tell me, that's 100 pounds of low self-esteem you lost. You got to get rid of. Right? Unfortunately, it's not always that easy, right? But those are things that are fearful, having to face those things.
Right.
So those are some of the things that, for like thinking of fear and thinking about where I want to be as opposed to where I'm at. Whether with legacy stuff, all that legacy stuff, whether with family, whether with relationships. This year coming up, it's every year is a pivotal year, I think. And this year is just another one where, last year I think for me it was about 100 pounds. That was what last year was about. Right? Those 100 pounds. So what are we stepping into this year? What are the things that that I'm pulling away from, going, you know what? I need to be more confident in, or I need to feel better about myself. And certain, because we've always been very open about our struggles on the podcast,
Word.
And so that was one of those things, because Marvin asked me, she was like, well, what's one of the things that holds you back, or you seem to hold you down? I'm like, I don't like myself very much. That stems, and that's probably a lot of my problems right there. I just don't like myself. And so how do I go around how do I go about fixing that? Right? How do I go about seeing myself the way God sees me? Right? Marve said something that, there was along the lines of, we get so focused on, seeing ourselves how we think we are, that we stop seeing ourselves how God sees us. There's like almost this narcissism that we have, right? And how we view ourselves all the time. Even though God's told us, look, this is how I view you.
The funny thing about that is that it's not easy.
Hold on, let me find that, because what she said, it blew my mind when she said it.
Right? It's not easy. It's not easy, and I've said
being
this.
Cheesy.
I said this to people too, like, you got to see yourself with God's eyes. You got to see yourself as God sees you. You got to like pull up the verses where God says, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. You're heirs and co-heirs with Christ, right? And like lean on those things. But even when you know those things, right? Like myself, when you know those verses and you can quote them, all the time, and when you're helping other people on a personal level, it's not easy to like look at yourself in that form and in that manner, because like the depths of yourself. Right. The lows of yourself. All the stuff that you did, the dirt.
Right.
Like it's hard for us to even believe that there is a God who created everything,
like, that
would still love me in spite of all the garbage that I've done against him, against myself, and against my fellow man.
Well, it's like when people say, like, oh, the devil reminds you of your past to rob you of your future.
Like,
and I'm like, I don't need the devil to remind me of my past. I'm really good at that. I'm really good at that on myself, on my own.
I can do bad on my own, right?
But this is what she said to me, which I thought was like, it kind of made me go a little like, whoa. She asked me what my fear monster is. She was always that's kind of her thing. It's like, what's your fear monster? What's the thing that causes you
me?
Right, that causes you. She goes, who did God create you to be? Sometimes when you don't like yourself, too much of your focus is on you. And so when you don't like yourself, it's because you're putting all the focus on you. You're not putting the focus on God. And there's a lot of ways that can be unwrapped. Like there's just a lot of ways that can be unwrapped.
But
right?
what I'm thinking is like, what if
fear, like she said, fear.
And what if you like yourself, right? What if you like yourself,
right?
But you still find it hard to believe, or you're still afraid of? Is it because like it's different, right? Because like you have that thing about what you don't like yourself, right? It's funny how I try to smack that out of you, not literally, but still. Right,
you tried to charge it out of me.
I tried to charge it out of you, right? $1 for every self-deprecating comment. But
but I have a gun.
But you stopped a little. At least you stopped.
Rob you.
At least you stopped saying it when I'm around or texting it. Right?
No, I still do it. I try to be less hurtful, because that's the problem with self-deprecation, right? It can be funny,
right? Which
is fine.
Yeah.
Right. Which I'm good at.
Yeah.
But I tend to go overboard on myself,
But to me, it bothers me when you do that, because when I read that, I'm like, you know, it's not funny to me because
When you read what?
when I read the comments that you make about yourself, the self-deprecation that you say about yourself, like I read that and I'm like, it's not funny to me because I know that there's truth in this.
Right, because I am a scumbag.
I know that there's
saying.
I know that there's truth in this. I know that this is how you see yourself.
Right.
Right. So like it bothers me. I mean, if I didn't love you, I wouldn't care. I would laugh at you and keep laughing at you.
Right.
Right. But like with me though, right? Like I like myself. Like even though I'm a jerk sometimes. And sometimes I like myself a little
too much.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm still afraid. I'm a dude.
So
it's funny, right? I was having this conversation with Mom, right? When I was coming back from
the chaplain thing.
And right, I was having this conversation with Mom because Mom was bringing up these people from Rehoboth, right? And she was like, wow, like they really, like I'm surprised all the stuff that they got into and they were doing and nobody knew. And I was like, I knew, right? I knew of all of the women that they slept with in church. I knew of all the stuff that they did, right? But it's not my place to tell anybody because when I would tell people,
I got a lockbox.
When I would tell people, I was always always seen there as the upstart, the rebel, the guy that wanted to
Sapofino,
right?
No, that's for Angel.
the guy, the guy that was trying to grow the youth to take over the church, right? I was
rouser.
Right? I was always always had this negative light shined on me, right? And I'm telling Mom, right? And I'm like, yeah, well, and I'm like, well, look at God, right? Look at God, because right now, I'm still in ministry, I'm still serving God, right? And I'm still doing work for the kingdom. Right. In spite of them trying to do everything possible to like basically hand deliver me to the gates of hell. Right.
To kill that.
And all these people who are like lauded in the church and they were lifted to all these positions and all that stuff, like they're not serving God. I can't share the stories that I've been told about what they're doing now, right? Because it's like extremely like opposite of the picture, the persona that they had in the church, right? But like the leadership, like I told Mom, it was tough for me to serve God and to love God fully in this church that we were in, because all they did was crap on me and crap on the ministry that God had placed in my hands. And yet, look now, look at God, because it was real hard for me to say, you see, I'm still here, right? No, God gets all the glory.
I dusted my sandals before I left, and you see what happened,
right? And Mom was like, yeah, you're
I'm
right.
a prophet.
It's like Mom was like, yo, you're right, but still.
Right.
Like there's a lot of times that I want to do things that I'm afraid because of past failures and because I still hear that voice in my head.
But here's the thing though, right? I think that when we talk about, fear, right? It's like, so you have my kind of fear, which is, low self-esteem, which is self-deprecation, which is, not liking myself, that kind of stuff. But I think fear also plays the other way, right? So you can like yourself, and then you have like that overcompensation,
right,
of liking yourself, where you're kind of like, that's masking fear also, right? It's just more of a bravado to it, right? Because what happens, right? You got to act out like, oh man, I love myself, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, or whatever. Because what? You're afraid that if people get to know you, they'll realize that maybe you're not the greatest, maybe you're not the best, maybe you're not this, that, or the other. Yeah.
That's me.
Right?
Like there are a handful of people that know that about me.
So you're still focusing on yourself, right? Which was what Mario was saying, right?
Right.
When you don't like yourself, right? You're focusing on yourself more than you're focusing on God, right? You're focusing on all the bad things about you. But it's the opposite. When you overcompensate, well, you're focusing on yourself still.
No, but you're still focusing on
yourself.
Right?
It's just different. You're still focusing because the focus is more on hiding who you are or hiding what you fear. Whereas for me, it's like, well, I just make fun of it because it makes it easier to deal with in a way, I guess, right?
Right. I'm reading through scripture.
Right.
as we're talking, and I'm reading like, yo, like David was the man,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like, David was the man.
David was the dude that we can always go be like, yo, at least I didn't have an affair and had the lady's husband killed.
Right? But Psalm 56:3, David writes, "When I am afraid, I put my trust in you." Right? Which I find it to be telling, because in this discussion, right? And props to Marve, right, for that.
For calling me out.
Yeah.
Like she always does.
For that revelation.
What's your fear monster?
Right?
Leave me alone.
I'm my fear monster. It's me.
It's me.
Right?
He looks like Oscar the Grouch.
Right? When we're looking at ourselves,
Right.
because of that fear, right? The last person, not only do we not look at God, but we also don't feel we not only don't feel worthy
Right.
of God's attention, right? But we also don't feel like we're in a place where we could put our trust in Him,
Right.
to take away our fear,
Right.
right? Or to substitute our fear with His
Right.
love, right? Because then also in Psalms 34:4, right, David says, "I sought the Lord, and He answered me and delivered me from all my fears."
Right.
Right? It's like, dude, David, shut up, right? It's like, stop
Right.
speaking this life.
That's the
right?
thing.
But it's easy to get. And then that's the thing, right? What I was trying to say before, like it's hard, it's easy, especially for you and I. It's real easy for us to remember all of these things
For others.
when
Right.
we're helping others, when we're advising others, when
Right.
we're trying to pour into others. But when it comes to like ourselves,
Right.
right? It's like, nope, yeah,
Right.
that's for you, but it's not for
Right.
me.
I believe it.
Right?
I believe it for you. I don't believe it. I don't believe it for myself.
Right?
Right.
And
Like
I mean,
right, because it's like I know it in my head,
right.
but I don't believe it in my heart.
I don't believe it in my heart.
And so think of how that fear plays out though, right? Because I can't put because of that, the way we see ourselves, the fear that we have about ourselves, the fear we have about failing or not failing or being liked or loved or whatever. So we don't put trust in God, right?
Right.
But we also don't put trust in others that they'll like us for us.
Yeah.
Right?
We don't
Right. So
we don't show our real self.
either we don't show our real selves. Well, right. So we don't show our real selves because we're afraid of that rejection, and or when we meet other people and they don't respond, right, the way we think they should respond.
Yeah.
But now we think they should respond a certain way because of how our fear plays into that. That when they don't respond that way, then we're either confirmation bias, right?
Mm-hmm.
I knew that's how they would respond, which I'm great at that. I knew that's how they would respond.
So am I.
Right? Or, well, yeah, see, I knew they wouldn't like me, so that's why they didn't respond. So that's why I don't need to, or I shouldn't have made that extra effort, right? Because I already know that. Tommy, Pastor Tommy, one of the things that he always said that always stuck with me, was like, I think you were going there at the time too. You had started going when he said, don't say no for the person.
Yeah.
Right? Don't say no. And it's so funny because I've used that a million times with other people. I was talking to a friend and I was telling her, well, don't say no for your friend helping you, because I was like, did you ask your friend for help? Oh, but she can't because this. And I was like, well, don't say no.
You said that to me too.
I've said that to tons of people, right? But guess what? I don't believe that because I believed it for you.
Right.
Right.
No, but I said that to you too.
But I know we're like a feedback loop. We're like the worst. We're like a VHS feedback loop.
I said
Just
that to
wah,
you,
wah.
like, go and like talk to them. Go and, oh, why they're already gonna turn me down. It's like, well, you can't say that
You
for
can't
them.
say that
right?
for them, right? Right. And now I'm a chubby guy, not a fat guy anymore. But the fat guy's still with me.
Right. The fat guy's still speaking
Right.
and thinking for
the
you.
fat guy's still with me because
But it's like I was telling you, I don't know if you remember this, but I was telling you how like one day I just got fed up. Remember, I did, and we kind of shared it here partially because I didn't say the whole truth. Where I said I stopped following, like I unfollowed all these preachers,
Right.
and all these like pastors, whatever. I unfollowed Furtick, Lentz, Smith,
Right.
Wilkerson Jr., right, Veach, who else, right, and I said that it was because like that, I get that jealousy creeping up, right?
Right.
But another part of it was because everybody that I just mentioned, they're all white, right? They're all white pastors, white preachers, right? Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I am. I am. But check it, right? But there was a part of me that felt that I had to look and sound and do all these things the way the white preachers and the white pastors do, right? So that I can be accepted by them and then like also gain like that platform, that notoriety, whatever, right?
Right.
And that's the real reason why I got pissed. Because I got pissed at me, right? Because it was like, hey,
there's nothing they did.
right? No, nothing they did at all.
Yeah, they're doing
nothing
their
they
thing.
did at all. But like I was still okay with like unfollowing them. So I don't have to see it and then like I can pray it out and like, give it to the Lord. Because like for me, it's funny because remember that we worked, like Juice and I worked for Creation Fest, right? And when Juice went to the owner of Creation Fest, I was like, hey, 3 years we've been bringing music and all this doing so, Jay and I also preach, right? That's what we do, right? And then it was like, yeah, I knew you gonna laugh, right? And then like the dude asked Juice, like straight up, yeah, but well, I'm not gonna put you on the stage to preach. Like, what have you done?
Right.
Right. And I got pissed because I'm like, yo, 3 years, we brought you like high caliber Christian hip hop artists, right? Tripled your 1-day ticket sales, right? When these artists are on. What do you mean, what did we do? Right. But what he was talking about, like accomplishments, books written, right?
Right. Stage preach that.
Yeah, like things like that, right? And I got pissed. And because I'm like, oh, well, if book or no book, if we were white, you would have a stage for us, right? And then, like, no lie, like the following year, they had like the No Frills version of Juice and I as speakers,
right,
on the smaller stages, but still on Creation Fest after we got snubbed out. But like it's still like it bothered me,
right?
It angered me. So then I felt, well, maybe I got to be more white. Maybe I got to be, I got to do these things and not speak with such a strong New York accent and not be so Puerto Rican or whatever, not do things in Spanish, right? And it bothered me. Like it bothered me. And I know that I did all that because I was afraid of being me, of who God made me and how he made me. And, love me or leave me, love it or leave it. Like, if it's not, if you don't relate to it, if it's not for you, then it's not for you. It's for the people that it's for.
And I think that's the, because you could go to a Spanish church and you get the same response.
Yeah.
Well, who are you?
Yeah.
But we take it hard. We take it harder, or we take it. It's a weird. It's like if it's a smaller Spanish church that said, "Well, who are you? Why would I put you to preach?" A part of you might be like, I get that. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But then a part of you is like, wait a minute, I came, like I've done stuff, right? I've done stuff. I came to, what the difference is magnitude, and the thing too, though, it's, what, if it's not, like you said, if it's not for you, it's not for you. We chase platforms.
Right.
We don't chase small platforms. We're always chasing big platforms. Do you understand what I'm saying? That always seems to be the thing. We don't chase the small. We chase the big. Now,
but not only that, it's
because here's where now speaking of fear, right? Why? Because we fear that well, I'm not doing what God's called me to do if I'm in the small. I need to be in the large because that's what God...
Or like in my case, I'm still here.
Right.
Right. Like I'm still here.
Right. And that's okay.
Right. And that bothered me. Right. Because for me, I felt like I was failing because I was still here. I'm not growing because I'm still here.
Right.
Right. Not realizing or not coming to the acceptance that I'm still here, right? Because this is where God needs me.
Right.
Or not even needs me.
Right.
This is what God wants me.
Like how arrogant is that thought? Right?
Yeah.
How arrogant is that thought? We've all had at some point, right? But how arrogant is that thought when you think of the pastor that was in Macon, Georgia, or Warner Robins, Georgia, which are smaller towns, and he served in the one church for 25 years, and they never had more than 150, 200 members. So are they failures because that's where they were for 20, 25 years?
Right.
Right? No,
Right.
We would say what? We would say like, wow, that's a dedicated man of God. Right? That's what we would say, right? That's a dedicated man of God. I mean, he served faithfully. He served because he served where God put him faithfully for 25 years. But we're so arrogant and so fearful that we won't think that about ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? We don't think ourselves, wait a minute, I might be doing this and I might still be doing this because this is what God wants me to do. And I think that's why we have to stop following, right? Like those big time preachers. For me, sometimes it's some of the health people because I look at them and I'm like, holy crap, I will never get there. And I get a little down, right? Because for whatever reason, I think, man, Friday, I made this joke. I was talking about the Brazilian buffet. I was like, man, I think I'm gonna go eat some Brazilian buffet today. And this lady was like, oh, is it good? I was like, hey, take it from this fat guy. It is delicious.
Yeah.
And this one lady was like, Joaquin, you're not fat. I'm like, I'm not super skinny either. But she saw me different.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, right? She says, no, you're not. Like you haven't got to where you want to be yet, but you're not where you started. And I think in ministry we tend to do that. We look at the big success and we think that's what success is. But how arrogant really is that, right? When you look at a guy that has served faithfully in a smaller setting.
When I, thinking now, like it's all flashing before my eyes, but thinking now, right? When I get invited or when I ask somebody about, hey, I could preach at your event, whatever, and it's a small church, and I get that, like, who are you?
Right.
That's when, like, I have felt myself, like, get puffed up in my arrogance because in my mind, I'm like, yo, like, I've done
XYZ.
Like, all these things. Like, I'm known by XYZ people. You know what I'm saying? Like, who are you
to tell me
right?
No.
Who are you to ask me who I am?
Right.
I'm doing you a favor.
Right.
Right? Like, if I can bring this artist or that person, whatever, and like you finally see your church filled to capacity and then take them all out. And I'm like, Lord, I don't need to be preaching in this place because I am not the right man for this, right?
Well, it's more like, Lord,
please forgive me.
Lord,
please forgive my arrogance. Please forgive my heart.
I don't need to be preaching at all,
right?
Because, right, you know what I'm saying though?
Yeah.
Because it's like if you're that arrogant, right? If we get that arrogant when it comes to a smaller space, what makes us think that we're gonna be humble in a larger space?
Yeah.
Right? No, you'll be even more arrogant.
Yeah.
Right?
It's
you'll become the guy we make fun of. Or I make fun of at least. So I don't know. It's just
the thing is that we have to recognize, like, I don't know, fear monster. I never use like that.
Yeah, she uses that as I think that's kind of but that's what it is. It's a monster.
No. I'm saying I'm not saying anything against it. It's like I've never thought of it that way.
Right.
Because I just never thought of it that way. But in thinking it that way, right? I mean,
it's like some Frank Peretti type.
There are countless times in the Bible where we're told not to fear, right? Where we're told, 1 Timothy tells us we don't have a spirit of fear, right? But of love, power, sound mind, and power, right? And again, like I said before, like we know these things, especially like you and I. We've been in ministry for so long. We've been youth pastors, right?
Right.
We're
well acquainted with our failures and
right,
those.
exactly, right. And it's easy for us to reflect the times that God has come in, right, and has been a strong hand in our failures, or where he has placed an Ebenezer in the things that we've overcome to help others, right? But we forget those things when it's for ourselves, right? And so, like, I'll be real fast to like help you, pray for you, like give a word of love or whatever to someone else, but then like, no, but I'm not worthy of those things because, right? Because I mean, when it comes to other people, we only know what they tell us, right? So it's easy for us to come in at that place, but like we know us,
right? Well, and I think that's why, and that's part of why, because within this conversation, you know, which is why it's hard for us to accept any kind of compliment or attaboys. Like I don't know how else to say it. You know, because within the context of the conversation I was having, it was like, you know, I'm like, look, I look in the mirror, you know, and I, you know, some days I see, oh wow, you've gotten thinner, and some days I just still see, you know, I see that picture, right? I see that big boy. Yeah. Sometimes I find myself walking, like it's so funny, right? But I'm walking, and I feel myself walking like I was 350 pounds. Like that weight is literally on me still.
Yeah.
And then now I've gotten better at realizing when I start, because what I do is I start hunching. You know, as I'm walking, I start hunching my shoulders. I start rounding my back because that's how I used to walk.
Yeah, I remember.
Then I have to remember. You have to remind. No, wait. No, you can stretch out. You know.
It's a squeaky chair.
It is. You know, because when you stretch out and you stretch back, you feel the soreness in your shoulders from working out, from doing the work, from doing what you got to. My shoulders are really sore. I need a massage. But even then, when people say like, "Oh, you did a good job. You're doing," no, I'm still the fat guy.
Right.
I'm still the fat guy.
You're still who you were.
You know.
And that's what I'm saying. Like I've been afraid to. I've been afraid to do the whole Legacy Nights thing, right? And remember, according to our plan, you know, we do the thing in the house for a year, or keep doing it in the house, and still doing the worship nights at the house, but still doing like these bigger things, like once every 3 to 4 months. But I've been afraid to. Right, I've been afraid to.
Right.
But like the Lord has been really like pushing me, and I've been like basically doing a spiritual Heisman because I'm thinking, you know, that's just me because I really want to do this, but I'm too scared to do it. Oh, I mean, you know, and I'm just not ready yet. You know, whatever. And but then certain things started happening. Right, certain things started happening where the Holy Spirit was like, "Yo, didn't I tell you this like last month? Like, didn't I show this to you?
Right?
Didn't like, well, yeah, but you got like these dumb conversations with God where you're the dumb one, right? Because you're like, yeah, but that was just a coincidence, God, right? I was like, really, right? And so, talking to Magda one day, I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna do it because I'm not gonna keep putting excuses to God, right? To then have to at the end be like, but God, I thought, you know, right? I don't want to be that guy. So I started taking steps, like, because I know what He told me, right? I came and I shared it with you, shared it with Angel that day, right? I know what He told me, and it already blew up in our face, and that's what I've been using instead of using that as like a marker to say, okay, from now on, I'm gonna do as God told me.
What can I learn? Right? What can I learn from? Right, because fear causes us not to learn from something. Mm-hmm. Fear causes us to learn the wrong lesson.
Exactly. Learn the wrong thing.
We tried the Legacy Church thing, right? We did 1, 2, 3. We did all these different steps. It didn't work out.
Right.
So instead of
because we did things out of order.
So instead of going, okay, wait a minute, why didn't things work out? What did we do wrong? What did we do right?
No, but that's the thing. Like we did that, right? We did that. You know what? We did things out of order.
Right.
We didn't do things the way God showed.
But you were still afraid.
Yeah.
right?
course.
That's the thing, right? It's like, so you didn't learn the lesson because the lesson would have
I
been
didn't learn the right lesson.
right. You didn't learn right. You learned the fear lesson, right? The fear-based lesson, which is, oh, we didn't do it right. It blew up in my face, so I can't do this because I've already tried it and it blew up in my face. That wasn't the lesson. The lesson was.
But then that's the thing, right? Because then we started doing the legacy nights in the house,
little by
and
little.
they've been going great.
They've been
right?
going really nice,
and it's real for me. For me, I can say this for me personally. It was real easy for me, or it's real easy for me to just stay there,
right?
And feel complacent that I am still doing God's work, right? I'm still doing legacy nights. It's really good. People are coming. God is being worshipped, but that was not supposed to be the end all,
right?
That's not what the plan was. That's not what God gave us, right? So it can't just be that, right? So now I'm just like, I'm gonna do it, and then that's why the thing. Like I spoke to somebody, I was texting somebody today, and I said, hey, look, take a look at this guy, take a look at this artist, right? He's gonna be the guy that's gonna do like the big worship portion of the once a month thing, or the once a quarter thing, right? And the guy was like, "Oh man, that's awesome! It's great." And I did that before I even asked Sam. It was just like, "Yo, this is what I feel God is telling me. This is how it's gonna happen." So afterwards, like way afterwards, I texted Sam and say, "Hey, I want you to think about blah 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 blah." And his response was like, "All right, let's make it happen." Right. Technically, actually, he said, "Let's make it happen, Cap'n." But I'm not, gonna make him as corny as that. Even though I just did, right? So he was like, "Yeah."
You're the one that came off more corny than he did.
That's what he texted me. I was like, "No, I want some Captain Crunch." But
he called you Captain.
But I'm like,
instead of like the Colonel, you'll be the Captain.
I said it,
El Capitan.
right? I said it before I even like confirmed it or asked it, right? And it's one of those fear things. Oh, well, let me ask him first because he's probably busy. He's probably going to be touring in Korea, right? And because we can, because of a fear, the fear that we have about how we see ourselves and the fear we have of the past, we'll create our own excuses. Like you said, like we'll say no for the people, right?
I'm good at that.
And I was like, no, I just did it. I was like, oh, this is the guy. And then I asked him, I was like, all right, let's make it happen, right?
And see, and
everything
the thing,
lines up.
And so the living without fear part, though, with that, let's say Sam said, no, I can't do it.
Right.
So then the fear part comes into play. Then we go, right?
It wasn't meant to be.
It wasn't meant to me. No te Dios. Right? We always like
No
to joke,
te Dios.
no te Dios. It's not of God. But the not walking in fear is, all right, that's just one. Who's the next? Who's the next?
Well, Lord, Sam said no. Bring me somebody else.
So who's the next? This dude. Oh, hey, would you, and I think, and that's right. So that's like fear causes us to do what, right? Fear causes us to stop.
Right.
Stop short. And it's like I was watching this. Where was I? I was watching this race. I was watching this video of a race.
That's all I do. That's all I do. I only watch races.
And the guy. Like the guy was winning, but he stopped short of the finish line, and the guy in second went right by him. It was like a track race, like a track and field race. And he stopped short. He kind of he didn't stop short. He kind of started celebrating too early, so he ended up stopping short, and then the guy went by him, and the guy in second ended up winning.
Right.
So I think that so fear causes us to stop short. Now, granted, we're not stopping short celebrating, but we're stopping short.
No, still
because of filling the blank. Now, if we let's juke this, right? What did Paul say? He goes, I finished.
I ran the race.
Right, I finished. I ran it. I finished it.
And I fought the good fight.
So but fear causes us to say what? I stopped running the race. Mm-hmm. Like the homeboy that did the marathon. Halfway through, he could have just stopped. And most of us would have been like, yo, that's dope. You ran half a marathon. Like, I wouldn't run a half a marathon. I think about a half a marathon. I'm already winded.
Yeah, I'm done already.
Right? I'm already tired. I'm already ready to go get a carb load.
I think about running 2 miles, and I'm like,
do I got to? It's like if I was ever chased, I'd be speed walking.
It's so funny.
Want to be running.
James invited me to. He had a run last week, and he invited me to that. He was like, but the way he worded it, say, hey, Jay. there won't be any cops around, but you can still come and run. Right? I'm like,
it's like I don't smoke cigarettes, but when I run, you think I did, right?
Right. Look, bottom line is
another
good tool against fear is having surrounding yourself with people that will speak against that fear with you or for you sometimes even. Right. That's very important.
And that'll
too.
speak against you.
Right. And it will call you out.
How about that? It'll speak against, not only speak with you, or I guess speak
against it with you.
Against it with you, but just to speak against you. Like do you understand what I'm saying? Like sometimes you need
you need somebody to
you know what? Perfect example. I was watching Big Bang Theory this week. I don't know what it talk about pop culture really filling in the blanks. So over the last 2 episodes of the Big Bang Theory, Sheldon and his wife, the girl he ended up marrying, Fowler or whatever her name is. Blossom. We know her as Blossom. Like they had come up with this theory, and it turned out that it had been disproven. And Sheldon was knocked out. He was like, I'm gonna give up on everything. It's all worthless. It's all pointless. And he saw this video. He had recorded a video of himself as a kid to encourage him when he came, if he ever hit that spot, right, that wall where he just wanted to give up. Well, it ended up getting recorded over by his dad, and his dad was giving the speech to the football team.
Right.
Because his dad was a football coach. And in the speech, his dad was like, he goes, boys, we're getting our butts kicked. And it was like, we might not win. Doesn't look like, we might not win. He goes, but that's not the point. The point is that we still go out there and we still play hard and we still give it our best, win or lose, but we walk away here knowing that we did everything we could have done. We left it all out on the field.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's good.
It was a speech.
Like facing your Giants.
Yeah, it was a speech given though, but it was it was a great speech, and then Sheldon's whatever her name is, I can't think of her name. Blossom. She was like, oh, so did they go out and win? And Sheldon's like, oh no, they got blown out. He goes, they were losing so bad. The other team let a cheerleader kick field goals. Right.
Oh my goodness.
Right. So, but it wasn't about the win, right? But it was about the fact that you finish it, right? Yeah. You start, you finish, you fight, you claw. So now within the context of the show, right? He gets up and they're talking, and then they come up with a new idea and with their original idea, a new way of looking at it, and so they begin moving forward in a different direction.
Yeah.
So that kind of that's what fear causes us to just give up. And I think that I don't know how to do this, right? Because I don't know how to do this. The question is, does somebody know how to do this? But it's saying, even in defeat, still fighting through, because it's the journey, right? Paul, we were joking the other day, right? We were talking about, how, Paul, when we were talking about the kid that got killed on the island.
Oh, right.
And it was like, well, he kept going back, and even though he knew they were hostile, and it was like, yeah, well, Paul would literally get thrown out of a city. He would pick up his stuff
and walk right
back into the city, right? I mean, what's the difference? But Paul kept going back, right? I mean, Paul says, right, ain't nobody gone through the stuff I've gone through. Shipwreck, bit by a snake, beat up, thrown up, punched down, punched around. Get up to get down, whatever. Right? Like he was like, he went, he faced
blinded.
He faced constant physical loss, as it were, right? In a way of looking at it.
Yeah.
But he kept pushing forward. Paul had no fear. And why didn't he have a fear? Because Paul didn't put his eyes on his circumstance. It's which is what we do. But Paul said, "Listen, I have a mission,
right?
We
take our view from vertical to horizontal,
right?
And when we do that, the horizontal is scary as hell.
No, and
right? It's scary. It's disappointing,
and it's lonely.
Especially when that horizontal is the mirror. And you have to look at yourself, right? And see all the ugly, see all the failure, see all the letdown, right? See the humanity in you, the natural of you, rather than seeing, right, the spirit of God in you.
Right.
Doom. That's like I like to say. That preaches.
That preaches. Right. So I think, so maybe that's the thing. This year is got to be. Remember the old shirts back in the day? No fear, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we got to look into this coming year. Is that no fear? Is that how do we go from not doing things that we want to do because we're afraid to doing things that we want to do, to doing things God called us to do? Because even if we are afraid, we're going to step out. And just say, I don't believe that Paul went through all that stuff and that if you ask him, well, were you afraid? And he'll be like, nah, man, I wasn't afraid of nothing.
I ain't afraid of nothing, man.
I ain't
God
afraid
was
of nothing.
with me.
My name is Paul, formerly a.k.a. Saul, son. For whatever reason, Paul all of a sudden got real gangster.
He got real gangster.
You're right. I mean, Paul, because we tend to think of Paul as kind of this superhuman, right, Christian guy, right? Because when we read the stuff he went through, and we're like, well, I couldn't have done that. But we also know that Paul asked God to take something away from him. We talked about this the other day, right?
Yeah.
Paul said, take this away from me.
Take that thorn. What's that
right?
thorn, Paul?
Whatever that thorn was. My grace is sufficient. My grace is sufficient. My grace is sufficient. Maybe that should be no fear. His grace is sufficient. That's like the movie poster for next year, right? For next year moving forward. And I'm not talking about just spiritual stuff. I'm talking about even in our daily, in our daily stuff, right? Why don't we pursue friendships? Why don't we pursue interests that might be a little weird or whatever? Because we're afraid, right? Whether we're afraid of what others might think, whether we're afraid of rejection, whether we're afraid of, fill in the blank. I think that we've got to, in all these things, we've got to say, okay. I mean, like for me, for example, like going to the gym was very fearful for me.
Yeah.
Because it's the way, right? I look at myself, I look at these other people that are like, especially when you're talking about like a gym with like a powerlifting gym, these massive dudes, right? Sitting, I'm over here bench pressing 110 pounds, right? And I'm struggling. Then the guy next to me who's like half my age, right? Or the guy next to me that is my age, and he's 300 pounds, 200. He's doing personal best, bench presses, and he's got 350 pounds, and he's just like, rah, and I'm over here like, rah. All those 35-pound weights. That's intimidating.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Yeah, it is.
But I was talking to this dude who was and I mean, one of the biggest black dudes I've ever seen in my life. This dude was massive, not like ripped, just a mountain of a man. and we were talking, and I was telling him about that. I was like, man, it's like it's hard to come in here because, like, I'm doing little weights, man. I'm doing tiny weights, right?
I'm doing no weights,
right? And you see all these kids, right? These kids that are younger than me, all these dudes that are older than me, and they're all slinging double what I'm using. Hell, I'm sitting here and I'm struggling with, let's say, 20 pounds doing a movement with 20-pound dumbbells, and there's this chick next to me, and she's got like 35-pound dumbbells doing the same thing. Now, we've already said, listen, my self-esteem is already low. I don't need to kick down another notch. But what is it, right? That's not the journey. Right. Or that's not the finality of the journey. That's just the process. And this dude, Jay, this dude's got to be like 6. You're 6'2"?
Yeah.
So this dude had probably like 6'4", 6'5". Damn. And he says to me, he goes, "There's women in here that bench press more than I do."
What?
And I looked at him, and I wanted to be like, bleep?
You a lie.
I was like, huh? And he goes, yeah, man. He had to be a good twitch just all in you. He goes, this one, some women, man, they bench press more than I do. He goes, but you know what? He goes, that's awesome. He goes, I applaud it. That's amazing.
Bruh.
Because, but all I can do is what I can do. And just every day when I come in, just be a little bit better. Just be a little bit better. Just be a little bit better.
That preaches.
Right? So that tells us what? He's not he has no fear about that others are doing better than him.
Yeah, no insecurities.
Or that other people are stronger than him. And he goes, man, I'm huge. He goes, people think I should be like, bench pressing 1,000 pounds or whatever, because he's so massive. He goes, man, but I just do what I can do. And the goal is to be a little bit better every day.
Right. So you walk in what God separated for you, right? You stay in your lane.
Right.
And just make sure that
just try to be a little bit better every day.
You just you get a little closer to God. Walk
right.
a little closer to the Holy Spirit. Walk a little closer with the Holy Spirit. Right?
Because we look at fear, and, what do we pray? We pray, Lord, take this fear away from me.
Mm.
We want God to take it all in one swoop, like a weed, right? Grab it all by the roots and just yank it all out. Now, can God do that?
Yes.
Of course.
But we should be praying, what are you teaching me,
Lord,
through this? Like, what's the takeaway?
Or how
am I going to grow with this?
What do we say? What we say what the light drives away what? Darkness.
Darkness, yeah.
But when you turn on the light, it doesn't drive away all the darkness. It takes time. As the light grows stronger, as it grows brighter, it pushes the darkness away. It pushes the darkness away. It pushes the darkness away. Maybe it's like, Lord, help me grow closer to you a little bit today, a little more light. And as we grow closer to God, as we grow stronger in God, then the fear would slowly be pushed away.
Dude, right?
Piece by piece, little by little.
A lot of times we want to get rid of the fear, right? But listen, we want to get rid of the fear by focusing on the fear.
Right.
Right? And then the focus on the fear makes the fear our sole purpose and our obsession almost, right?
Right.
Rather than, as you say it, right, turning our focus from the fear, right, to the Lord, right? And having our focus be God. Take it all. I brought it all the way back to Marvay, right?
The very beginning,
right?
Yeah.
Right? Having the focus on God, right? Where our view, right? Our viewpoint changes, our perspective changes,
Yeah.
right? And our faith grows because we're focused on God more. That the fear diminishes to the point where we forget that it ever existed, right? Where we have to be reminded, yo, remember when you wouldn't?
Right.
Oh snap!
Oh,
yeah, that's right.
Or even if it's there,
totally forgot that.
Or even if some of that is still there, then we learn what Paul learned. What
His grace is sufficient.
His grace is sufficient. Yeah, you know what? Listen, it's true. I'm terrified to do X.
Yeah.
But His grace is sufficient. So maybe I don't do it X. Maybe God doesn't want me to do X, but His grace is sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
Me being afraid of doing X doesn't define who I am.
Right.
Why? His grace is sufficient.
And it doesn't define who God is in me.
In me, and to me, and for me.
Yeah.
So maybe that's 2019, the year of
no fear.
No fear. The year of no fear. So, well, you know what? We're
not fear, no fear.
No fear. So, listen, that kind of ended up being the thing tonight. So that was not the topic. Today we actually had something completely different.
We sure did. So
but
we
know what?
We can save that for another time.
We'll save that for another day. Before we listen, thanks for those of you that joined us, for those of you that stuck with us, thank you. And hopefully whatever it is that you might be dealing with fear-wise.
Yeah, fear. Whatever fear is crippling you right now.
The encouragement that we need to follow ourselves is stop focusing on the fear and start focusing a little bit more on Jesus and just acknowledging that the fear is there.
Right.
But acknowledge even more so
that God is greater.
That God is greater. That's awesome. So I do want to share two things.
Got it.
the two things that we were going to share at the very beginning. We
Oh,
didn't.
right.
Just because we always have to, listen, we like to have a trailer and we like to have a song.
Song of the week.
So the song of the week, Jay discovered this, I guess, C3 NYC, which is a church in New York. From all looks relatively young, right?
Yeah.
And they just put out a single called "The Door," so that'll be on the website. We'll push that out. Dope song. And then, as always, because we love movies and we're such nerds, listen, Avengers 4 Endgame trailer rocked the world. If you haven't watched it, then you're a loser because you should have already watched it. It's been out a week.
You should have watched it a couple times.
A couple of times. Looks very, very cool for what it's setting up. So maybe next week we'll before I head off to Puerto Rico, we'll talk a little bit more about the Avengers 4 trailer because there was some good stuff in there.
Word.
But so that's it. Those are the two things. Fear. Hey, listen, it's something we all go through, something we all struggle with. Doesn't matter how young or old. We're in our 40s. Jay's 45. I'm 43, and lifetime. There's been different things that we've struggled with when it comes to fear. I want to encourage you guys. Remember, said it earlier. We'll say it again. Focus on God. Don't focus on yourself. Maybe that fear will start going away. Something that 2019 is I'm going to be striving for.
Yeah.
Something I know Jay's going to be striving for.
2019, the year of no fear.
The year of no fear. So thanks for joining us. We love you. Hey, next week will be the last podcast with me before the year ends because I will be out in the sunshine. So as always, thank you for joining us at the Overflow Podcast at the overflowpodcast.com. My name is Joaquin.
And I'm still Jay.
And we are glad that you were with us. Peace.